Well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about 2025. 2024 was definitely an interesting year for the industry. A lot of preparation for the upcoming refrigerant transition across all product lines, effective January 1st, 2025. That's going very well, and I think it will continue in 2025. And hopefully that will be an area where we see certainty and stability versus uncertainty like we had in the last year with building codes and other things now all fully adopting it. I think the other big thing that's going to be, along with the election and everything else, is the growth of uncertainty in this market as it relates to regulatory issues. And in particular, we saw the Biden administration rushing to get regulations out, some of those impacting our industry, the commercial refrigeration, the automatic ice makers, as well as small, not small motors and a couple other rulemaking. So the question becomes, will they be part of a request for rescission by Congress as part of the Congressional Review Act, which we'll see a lot of that over the first 2 to 3 months of this new Congress, as they look not only at rules impacting us, but also all sorts of ones that were put out since I believe it's the beginning of August by the Biden administration. But what that does is provide uncertainty. And I think on the federal level, at least over the next year, we're not going to see much rulemakings going on. But by them not doing it, we're going to see greater activities in the states, in particular California, Washington, Massachusetts, New York, Illinois, basically the climate action states, both as relates to potential refrigerants and other things, as well as emissions such as NOx emissions, which will cause significant issues for the industry and the availability of products to consumers. I think another thing that we've seen growing, but will probably be exacerbated because of this state activities and everything else, is the whole question of affordability and how our products will remain affordable to most of the consumers that are out there. As we increase efficiency, as we change refrigerants, as we look at these things, everything has the tendency to increase the cost and therefore the affordability for consumers to afford. So I think we'll be needing to look at that to see how we can help consumers do that. One of the solutions, of course, was the IRA, put in Inflation Reduction Act and the rebates and the tax credits. For 2025, the tax credits will be, I predict will be, still there. AHRI is in the process and will be launching shortly after the first of the year an update to its directory that will provide the 17-digit PIN that the IRS and the IRA requires for consumers to take that credit on their tax records by putting in model numbers and some information. That certificate and PIN number will be produced so contractors will be able to use that. We do not expect the IRS. We were hoping they would have a rulemaking done. They did not. And so as an industry, we want to be ready so that we can make sure that consumers can use those tax credits when they put in qualifying products. So I think that kind of summarizes it. We're going to move forward. 2025, I think, will be good for the industry. We'll see the transition. We'll see these programs there. But there's going to be a lot of uncertainty towards the end of the year on what's going to happen, what's going to be available as we approach 2026.
From my background, I absolutely love what's happening in Washington, D.C. In lots of ways. I know there aren't many people that feel that way, but having spent more than half my life there, it's hard for me not to be excited about what the new year, what 2025 may hold for the future, and especially for the contractor and their employees. I felt like we were really making some progress in the Trump administration, their last term that they had. And I felt like we had really taken some steps back from a regulatory standpoint, just, what was coming at the manufacturer and ultimately tripling down to the distributor, to the contractor, to the consumer with just this onslaught of, energy regulations and changes without a lot of thought being put into that. I think you're starting to see that already start to surface already in the new Congress. But my predictions in terms of what's happening, opportunity. I think this is our chance for us to be united as an industry, but for especially for the contractor, for the small business owner to really make some advancements. We've got a lot of stuff happening on the tax front coming our way. That's going to be center stage for us. The 199 deductions are one of those, minimum tax. And then just workforce in general. You've got the A2L transition that's going to happen, but you're going to see kind of some efforts to roll things back. And I think we need to be diligent on that. But in terms of predictions, I'm probably overly positive in terms of what's happening. As somebody, maybe one of the few in this industry that's served. I've done 2 stints of duty as a political appointee. In George W. Bush's administration, I came back between campaigns twice to serve. And I'm excited about who's already coming in, friends of mine that are coming here. And people that have served, I think they're going to do a better job of kind of listening to experts. And this is where the experts of small business owners, of contractors matter. So the restoration of the apprenticeship program, I think is going to be top of mind. Hopefully turning back some of those horrible things that we saw, the OSHA walk around rule, Department of Labor, their joint employer rule, the corporate transparency from the Department of Treasury, ban on condensing furnaces. I mean, it's the list of things we need to turn back on, but hopefully getting apprenticeships back on track. Workforce continues to be our top constraint for our members, and I believe the whole industry. So any progress that we can make in having a meaningful apprentice program, it's not just for unions, it's for everybody, I think is going to be key. So anyway, I know I've gone on and on for that. I'm happy to share more, but I'm grateful to be asked. But I think DC is going to be top of mind. I think it's going to filter down the states. Some of the states that were already thinking they could go a little further left from a political standpoint, they got checked up pretty hard this past election, not just at the presidential level, but nationally in terms of losses and what we have. So I think they're going to be working to come back center. So it's our chance to get back to mattering what matters most, which are the people that pay the most in its taxes, and that's the contractors. So we're looking to leverage it fully. So thanks for having me on, Maria.
Okay, so three predictions that I have for 2025. I believe that the uh, end of the recession will be happening. I think there's more optimism in the market. There's already been more optimism in the market since the election. So I think there will be some changes from our new administration that will be more business friendly. And I've already seen it at the kitchen table. There's more people that are more optimistic. They're more willing to spend money as opposed to pre-election. Um, so I think business, as long as you are working hard and get your name out there and marketing, that we'll see an increase in sales and revenue in 2025. Second prediction, I believe, and I don't know, happened in 2025. I don't, maybe it's already happened and I haven't seen them, but I think there will be um, thermostats that are working more AI driven. So they'll be taking everything into account, how your system's running, how long it's on. And I think it will be learning to optimize more so to in learning your schedule. And I know there's some aspects of that that's already going on, but I think that the controls which are in place to run our HVAC systems are going to become more AI driven over the next 2 years um, for the betterment of efficiency and of course control from the manufacturer so they can get more information and so forth. So there's always a trade off of privacy, but overall, I think it'll make more comfort happen in the home. My third prediction for 2025 is I think they're crypto stable coins. I think they're become more mainstream. I think more people are going to be using them for payments. I think people will be using Visa and MasterCard less by the end of the year because those fees are high compared to what you can get with stablecoin. I think that'll be one of the biggest things that we see with the new administration and government coming in. Some stablecoin regulation, which will make it easier and better for companies to be able to transfer money everywhere with lower fees. Ultimately, that's what stable coins are for.
We're the distributor association, so we have to look at the whole market here. And when I look at the whole market for 2025, our expectation is that actually our fundamentals and the market potential is going to be better in 25 than it was in 24 for a variety of reasons, but we can go into those at another time. But I think so that's number one. But number two is we are going through yet another form of some kind of technology or product transition, this time happening to be the refrigerant transition. And while everyone has worked exceedingly hard to be prepared for all of this, there is going to be the unknown, there's going to be the unexpected, there's going to be the unplanned disruption that's going to create some challenges. It might be for the manufacturer, it might be for one of their component manufacturers, it might be for in transportation, it might be in the distribution or the sales channel. There's going to be a disruption that's going to create some disconnect between market demand and product supply at some point for some category of product somewhere. And so that is our expectation. We're going to see it, and it's going to be up to how well the industry deals with that. And then I think the third thing is tangential to that, continued increase activity on the state and local level as it relates to policy that impacts our members. Not all of it is necessarily bad, but there's an awful lot of it that's not great. And it can be anywhere from state agency regulation to code adoption or code interpretation and implementation. And it could be legislative affairs at the state level. But, we expect to see more and more of that. We are already dealing with it in a number of states. We think 2025, it's likely to ramp up. And by the way, it's not really a political statement. We saw this as happening regardless of who was going to win the federal election, the presidential election. Maybe there's some argument that it might accelerate or ramp up in intensity because of how the election turned out, but it was going to happen one way or another. And a big part of that is there's no federal preemption on climate-related policy, which dictates an awful lot of the refrigerants and other materials in our industry. So I think we're going to see that happen regardless. So those are probably three big impacts. There's a ton of micros that we could go into forever on all of this. And if I were going to say what I think the key will be to all of this, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead to a future episode or not, but it's going to be on execution. And I don't want to oversimplify that. It is a complex time and market that our industry is going into in 2025. So it will be the companies, not just the distributors, not just the manufacturers, the sales reps, and the contracts. It's going to be everyone involved who really knows their stuff and can really speak with authority and confidence and know where all the right information is to have it at their fingertips to help serve their customers. Because there's going to be a lot of misinformation out there. There's going to be a lot of incorrect interpretations of what the refrigerant transition means, or what code compliance means, or what you're allowed or not allowed to do with a certain product in a certain area of the country. And so those who really know it and know it well and win the confidence of their customers are going to have an opportunity for a disproportional growth opportunity in 2025. While on the flip side, those who don't, run the risk of being exposed and having a very, very challenging 2025. So obviously our job is to make sure our members fall into the former and not the latter. And we're trying to do everything we can on that. But staying educated, staying creative, staying strategic, and focus on your customer and answering and anticipating their needs is going to be even more important in 25 with all this uncertainty than in years past.